That was a very interesting month. I saw a lot of great things and I saw a lot of crap. Let's get into both of them. First of all, I did recently join Letterboxd. If you want to go see how I irrationally rate films, especially from my childhood, please follow me there. The link will be in the description. Okay, here's the list of movies that I saw this month that I think you should definitely go see. Midsommar. Absolutely go see this film. It is Ari Aster's next film after Hereditary, and let's be honest, you might love it, you might hate it, but you definitely need to see it regardless. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's Tarantino. I gotta see it. I gotta recommend it. I'm not saying it's his best movie. I'm not saying it's his worst movie, but you gotta see Tarantino when it comes out. Upgrade. In my eyes, it's more of a sci-fi action-y thriller than a horror movie, but that doesn't mean it's not worth seeing. Mandy. Definitely wanted to see this film for a long time and I just wasn't able to get there. Thank you to Shudder for having it available to me. Nick Cage is phenomenal. Everyone in it is phenomenal. It is definitely more feelings and emotion than plot, but I gotta tell you, if you like horror in any way, you gotta see the film. You just gotta see it. The Old Dark House, an oldie but a goodie. I think sometimes we become obsessed with Universal monsters and we gotta remember that everything isn't just about the Wolfman, Dracula, and Frankenstein. This is another great one from the 30s and directed by James Whale. It's got a great sense of humor to it, along with its little scares. Of course, it's not necessarily scary, but I still think it holds up in terms of story and in terms of what it does. I really enjoyed it. Climax. It's another one that I've been dying to see, directed by Gaspar Noé. I gotta tell you, it is disturbing. Not everyone's gonna love it. Some people will really hate it, but it's different and it's fresh. And there's dancing, and dancing is wonderful, and there's LSD, and LSD isn't wonderful, okay? It's not wonderful. But mixed with dancing and a little bit of a crazy director, it all comes together. You might not like it, you might really abhor it, but it's definitely something you need to see. Revenge. It is the most simplest and basic of plots that there can ever be, but it's done so uniquely, and that's what makes it so much fun. Definitely check that one out. Summer of '84 is another one to see. This one's also on Shudder, as is Revenge actually. Can you tell that I'm very excited about having Shudder now? It's been so good to me. But Summer of '84 is about a group of kids, you might as well call them the Losers Club, like all the other children horror movies. These guys, one of them lives next to a supposed serial killer who happens to be a cop. And the film is about them finding out whether or not he is a serial killer. Definitely a good movie, definitely a great ending, definitely one worth seeing. Check out Crawl. It's not the most amazing, jaw-breaking, earth-shattering film you've ever seen, but it's a good fun one. You know, go for some laughs, go for some kills. And last but not least is The Neon Demon by NWR. I gotta tell you, this is a film that was so much better for me the second time. I enjoyed it the first time, but then the second time I was like, this is a masterpiece. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I just think it's done so well. The performances are great. The colors are great. The direction is great. I did a rewatch of this for the Does This Offend You live stream that Nightmare Maven and Spooky Astronauts have. It was well worth it with starry eyes. Check them both out. I went through a found footage phase last month. I saw Exists and I saw Willow Creek, both Bigfoot found footage films. I did reviews of both of them. I will link that as well. I also saw the Japanese film Noroi, The Curse, which I didn't think was as good as I was hoping it was going to be, but I will say that it is different and it is unique in terms of how it uses its found footage. But I did find it to be a little disjointed, and I really wanted to follow one of the main characters instead of going all sorts of directions. I also watched one of the founding fathers of found footage in Cannibal Holocaust. This was a rewatch, and I gotta say, I didn't really ever expect myself to do a rewatch of it, but I did. Is it disturbing? Nah, not really. Is it offensive? Absolutely. And I am convinced that the Amazon jungle is the scariest place on Earth. Okay, movies to stay away from and that I would actually use the poop emoji for. Let's go. Demonic from 2015. I watched it and then I scrapped it out of my memory. It is no more. Mercy Black. Silly. Just silly. I get it. It's a little bit better than the Slender Man movie, but I gotta tell you, Blumhouse, I expect more from you, and this was very upsetting. Don't do this to me again. Dead Birds from 2004. From the poster, I got a very specific feel of what I thought this film was going to be like, and I gotta tell you, it was the exact opposite. If you want to see a good film with Michael Shannon, this is not the film. Just go watch Take Shelter on repeat over and over and over and over again. Let's change it up to social media for 1 second. Instagram to be more exact. Zilla draws. Now I gotta tell you, when I was growing up, I always wanted to be able to draw. My brother could draw. I always wanted to sketch. I wanted to be able to sketch like faces that they do like for police and in court. I always thought that was so cool. I could never do it. I was awful at it. And I also really wanted that skill to be able to do storyboarding for my films. I don't have that skill. Zilla Draws has that skill. He joined Instagram just this past July. His drawing style is somewhere between cartoonish and caricature. That's a direct quote. He gets his inspiration from mostly horror films, and he's constantly churning out more and more and more posts. I can't believe how many posts he put up in just over a month. Every time I see a new post, I think to myself, that's gotta be a shirt. Put that on a shirt. So please, if you have a moment, go check out his Instagram. I'll put it in the description below. It is well worth it. Books. Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. I really enjoyed this book. I did a review of it, so I'm not going to talk about it too much here, but it was so good that I will say I read the sequel, which was called A Winter Haunting. This book was not so good. It was very short, 300 pages, and I gotta say maybe 60 pages of that 300 was actually enjoyable. Right now I'm reading White is Witching, which I hope is really, really good. It looks great. I'm really excited for it. In terms of TV, I watched Chernobyl from HBO. I gotta say, this is a bleak miniseries, but it is haunting and mesmerizing, and every frame is so heartbreaking knowing that this is a true story. It's a tough watch. On a lighter note, I watched Stranger Things, and I gotta say, this season 3 was just not as good as I hoped it to be. The characters were still very strong. The 80s element was still very strong. I thought the plot was sorely lacking. And I gotta say, it's one thing to do a tip of the hat to a film or whatever, but if you're gonna just completely rip off Under the Skin and the originality that they did in their visuals, you gotta lose some points for me, okay? Again, you can do an homage, you can do a tip of the hat, but don't just straight up rip it off. I mean, come on, let's be better than that. Alright everyone, that's about it for my July. Thank you so much for being here. Please, let me know in the comments below, what did you see that was really good last month? Or what did you read? What did you get inspired by? Thanks guys, really appreciate it. Bye.